afternoon, and welcome to BBC Two.
Hello and welcome to Back to the 80s, the podcast that travels back through time in a rose-tinted DeLorean. Yes, it's that time of week again where I, Glenn, aka Cymru Nerd Cave, kidnap somebody in the old nostalgia TARDIS and whisk them back to a simpler decade when we didn't have to worry so much about everything that we worry about today. Technology wasn't that great. Joining me today, we've got someone that's been on the podcast quite a few times now. And, he's joining us again. Now, let me get this right. He is from the Smorgaspod. It is, of course, your friend and mine, Andy Welch.
Hello, everybody. Oh, no, not him again, I hear you cry.
Yeah, no, that twat again. Oh, fucking hell. But yeah, Smorgaspod, not Smorgasbord. That's Pete. Who is, quite frankly, another bald northerner. So, you know.
Well, you know, we do travel in packs.
Well, yeah, like velociraptors.
Yeah. Testing defences systematically for weakness.
Yeah.
We remember.
Exactly. Bob Peck lost to us all. Wasn't it you or somebody who knew Bob Peck, or Bob Peck's cousin?
It was not me, no. Yeah.
Where have I picked that up from? Oh, it could be Aaron. Could be Aaron. I'm sure it's on your podcast.
Might well be.
I'm sure it's on your podcast. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It is Aaron, because, he knew somebody or worked with somebody who's Bob Peck's cousin or something.
Yeah.
And apparently he talked a lot about being Bob Peck, but he's an actor. That's what actors do. You know.
Yes.
You get it, right?
I do. I get that.
You're like woke and shit.
I'm like what? I'm like Wogan shit.
Well, Wogan shit.
I'm increasingly rare, and the only example of me now are a wee bit fossilised and curated by the Pudsey Bear Museum.
Brilliant. I can't really do Wogan because I just Jenny to Graham Norton. But you know.
I know. See, I can't do Graham Norton, so we'd actually make really good opposite Irish. So then, Graham, tell us all about your new television show and why I'm not a host on it.
Well, you're not a host on it anymore, Terry, because you're kind of dead. Fucking.
Yes, but I did a better fecking job on the Eurovision than you wee bastard.
I keep saying they should get Jonathan Ross back and get him to do it, because he would be better.
A bit of Wassy.
On the old Eurovision. Or Danny Baker.
Danny Baker needs to be on TV more, actually, yeah. He was ubiquitous at one point, and now where is he?
He's on Twitter mainly, but he has quit television, basically. Because he said he went on I'm a Celebrity and said that's basically it for me. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm kind of too old, too tired, can't be bothered anymore.
He's like, I am a celebrity, get me out of everywhere.
Yeah, basically. I'm a celebrity, I'm off. That wouldn't be a very long
I'm a celebrity, so long and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, I'm a celebrity. Later, losers! That's what they should call it. That reminds me of my friend Andy Turnbull, who I don't talk to as often as I should do. He said on his podcast about 5-6 years ago, he wanted to do a Jeremy Kyle type show called Cunt, where people just came on, told him their problems, and then he'd just shout cunt very loudly at them, because he's Scottish, sorry, I'm thinking, cunt! And then basically you had to get off the stage next. Shut up, cunt!
Isn't that almost like what Jeremy Kyle does anyway, except without the expletive?
Well, no, the expletives are there. It's just that there's less moral outrage when Andy did it.
or is there fewer moral outrage?
No,
that's not right. No.
There's lesser. There is less good moral.
But there are more fewer of the less of it.
It's more gooder.
It is much more gooder.
It is much more gooder. But anyway, how have you been?
I've been all right. Yeah, not bad. Just working, melting my brain in a dispensary today, sticking stickers on things and trying not to kill people. Has been my day.
It's a good pursuit.
It is. Yeah, it's not a trivial pursuit, in fact.
No, or trivial pursuits, or whatever they call it these days.
I got a little something in the post this week. It's so small it fit through the letterbox, but I was quite pleased with it. I don't know if you've seen the pic is on my Facebook, because you know what I'm like with my Transformers and stuff.
No, really?
Yeah, and I keep seeing people posting really cool pictures and cool poses and stuff like that, and I was like, I really want to get a figure stand with one of those little things that fits in the little ports that seems to be appearing on the back of all Transformers at the moment. So I paid £1.33 for one on eBay from China, and it's quite a nice little. I think it's like a cheaper version of like the Tamashi figure stands.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a nice little posable, clear plastic thingamy-bob, like an angle poise doofer that Titan's Return Metal Hawk is currently poised on in his plane mode. So I had good fun fiddling with that. I quite like that. I'm going to get some more of them for Transformer display purposes.
I do like me some Metal Hawk, because, as everybody knows who listens to this podcast regularly, Choji Master Force is my favourite.
Yeah.
And I do like Pretenders Done Right. And I know that Mr. Metal Hawk is pretty damn cool.
Have you picked up any of the new Prime Masters yet?
Not yet. It's been Christmas, and then it's my girlfriend's birthday soon, and it's not happened as yet, but it will.
I was lucky enough to be at the FASDA in York with my good lady, and we were doing a bit of shopping for some Valentine's weekend dinner, essentially.
Oh, cool. Where was Amy when all this was going on? Hey!
TV.
Don't hurt me. Amy, that is, not you.
We obviously, whenever I go to the supermarket, I have to hit the toy aisle, and they actually had the 3 first wave Prime Masters in, and I had to get, because I've got Titan's Return Metal Hawk, I had to get all 3 of them anyway, but I had to get it particularly for the Metal Hawk little Pretender shell with Prime Master Vector Prime supposedly in there.
Right.
Little blue fella. He's actually got, if you look at him, he's got quite a Metal Hawky looking head. But that shell is now the place where my my headmaster for Metal Hawk resides, from Titan's Return, Chappie, because they just look great together, and he can then hold himself like a weapon, as I often do.
Well, yes, obviously I've seen the pictures. I didn't want to, you forced me, but but they have said this week, or the last couple of weeks with the Toy Fair stuff, obviously Bombburst is going to be Megatron, isn't he? So
yeah,
that's
cool.
Is
it Megatron or is it Megatronus?
Megatron.
Oh, is it Megatron? Oh,
apparently right. So. Apparently well, unless the person who posted it has shortened it to Megatron instead of Megatronus, but I think it's Megatron. But yeah, he's going to be Bombburst, or Blood, as I like to call him.
Yeah. I really like the little miniature incarnations of the Pretender shells. They're as somebody pointed out on one of the Facebook groups, it's like you wouldn't necessarily want like an 8-inch version that was new of them, but
yes, I would.
But it's nice to have them in what I like to look on as like the Japanese scale, rather than being giant monsters. They are human size, or slightly bigger than human size.
Yeah, fun size.
Yeah, fun size Pretenders. Fun for all the family. I've got to say though, having seen the pictures of the ones unveiled at the Toy Fair, when I get, and I will get, Octopunch, I'm going to do what I did with the G1 Octopunch, and I'm going to give him a scary as hell black smoky mirrored sort of faceplate.
I remember you doing that.
Yeah. I made it out of a pair of kids' sunglasses with like a sort of mirrored, but it was like a smoky mirrored plastic, and hacksawed it into a circle and filed it down so it fit perfectly inside his helmet.
Because health and safety didn't exist in 1989, lads.
Didn't in our house.
No, it didn't. Your dad had access to all that shit. So
he did, and in the rare event that he would accidentally split his thumb open with a Stanley knife or something, he'd just come halfway up the stairs and pass out, going, "First aid, please, Julia."
That's all right. My father-in-law's the same. Have I ever told you what he did with the sit-down lawnmower?
Oh God, no! What?
I probably told this on the podcast before, but I'll tell you, it's fucking hilarious. Because my father-in-law is manly. In a really understated way, but he's still manly.
Yeah.
They used to live in France. They've recently moved back to England, but Britain, sorry, should I say. But they used to live in France, and because they had a few acres, they had a sit-down lawnmower. One day, as he's on the sit-down lawnmower, it suddenly stops, and he thinks, "Oh, that's weird. I'll have a look." So he has a look, and he sees something. Oh, maybe something's blocking it. So he sticks his finger in it.
Oh God!
the blade goes cha-chunk. Just the once, and takes pretty much bursts his finger open.
Oh my God!
My mother-in-law wasn't there, and she could speak pretty much fluent French. My father-in-law pointed at things for 8 years.
Not very well with that finger, then.
Well, there you go. But he just wrapped it up in a dirty towel and waited until he picked her up from a French lesson where she was, "I need to go to hospital with this, Ruth." So. He eventually went to the hospital, but they said, "Well, there's not much we can do now. It's been left too long, so we can stitch it up." But he's lost nerve. He's got nerve damage in the finger. It's crooked because he didn't get it seen to when he should have done. But yeah, that's the sort of shit that he got up to.
The moral of the story there, boys and girls, is if you have an accident, get it looked at.
Apparently, I mean, my girlfriend told me once that he split his head open and just got fucking staples and stapled his head up.
Well, to be fair, that does sound a little bit like me when I when I was, because I'm a bold northerner, as you know. When I was I'd been kind of clippering my hair. And then having a bit of a shave, and I thought, there's like annoying, when you've clipped your hair short, but you've still got those annoying hairs that are right next to your ear that you haven't quite managed to get with the clipper.
That's the worst.
I'll just get a razor, so I kind of I bent my ear downwards a bit because my ears are kind of big and soft and floppy like a heffalump.
The bass wings.
and I just I got those annoying little hairs just round by my ears, and then as I moved the razor away, my ear just kind of popped back up and into the path of the razor, and lo and behold, one tiny, tiny little nick, but there's a lot of blood vessels in a human ear, I discovered as I started to look like something out of John Carpenter movie.
Like Epler, too.
It was just pissing blood down my face. It was seriously like something out of 28 Days Later. And I thought, okay, so I put some pressure on with a bit of tissue paper, and after a little bit of let go, and it was still bleeding. I thought, okay, so I cleaned my face up, put some pressure on, walked through into my bedroom, got the super glue, put a dab of that on, bosh, sorted.
Well, that's what it's for.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I would have gone the other way, and I would have waited until I had the proverbial crimson mask and gone, "By God, he's busted open!" Like looking like Ric Flair. But, he's a bleeder. But there you go. That's the way I would have gone. But then again, I'm not bald. I suffer from exactly the opposite thing. I'm just going white. But there you go. I'm going to look like Colonel Sanders within the... or Kenny Rogers, apparently.
Nice.
Well, either
one of those, I think you could work it.
You got to know when to hold them.
And when to fold them.
When to walk away.
I always somehow, I don't know why, maybe it's because they were out around about the same time, but I always want to kind of segue that into the I'm the Unknown Stuntman from The Fall Guy.
Well, it was blatantly supposed to be, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was Lee Major singing it. But it was It's like the most meta theme tune ever, apart from the one for Gary Shandling Show.
Oh.
Which is, this is the theme from Gary Show. The theme from Gary Show. Gary called me up and asked if I would write the theme song.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm almost halfway through. How'd you like it so far? How'd you like the theme to Gary Show? It was really, really just underrated classic Gary Shandling Show. Everybody should go and watch that. It's on YouTube.
I shall have to go and have a look at that after.
If ever you wondered where things like Larry Sanders or The Office or Seinfeld even, if you ever wondered where those things sort of what influenced them, and Sean's Show, obviously by Sean Hughes, it's Gary Shandling Show, basically. But there you go. Right, we shall move on because we are going to do some talking in a little bit, and there'll be plenty of tangents we're going to go down. But in the meantime, we shall go and do some adverts. This week they are from the Sainted Channel 4 from the 2nd of March 1985. Little bit of continuity before anything for Barnum, a really old version of the Barnum movie.
Hugh Jackman one.
No, although he's probably in it because he's in everything, isn't he?
He is.
If he's not, Ed Sheeran will be. And then you've got an advert for Warburton's, which I've put down here, not too different. It isn't really that much different than Warburton's advert today. They're basically saying, yeah, we're a very old company, and we know how to bake bread. Eat our bread.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way you can advertise it, except for, like if you're doing crumpets, you get the Muppets involved.
Exactly. Otherwise, you just get Peter Kay involved, because, again, he's in everything.
Yeah.
Next ad's for Maxwell House, which I put for people who hate coffee. Basically, if you don't like coffee, that's what you drink.
But they've gone so far up into the Colombian Mountains, Glenn.
Yeah, but it's piss-watered down.
And then they had all the coke in the Colombian Mountains and came down and made some shit instant coffee.
It's like Mellow Birds. It's like, oh, it's smooth. It's not supposed to be smooth. It's coffee.
Mellow Birds will make you smile.
Oh, it's not bitter. It's supposed to be bitter. It's coffee. That's what coffee is. It's bitter. It's like, oh, it doesn't taste of beer. It's beer that doesn't taste of beer. It's like, well, fucking don't drink beer then. Oh, annoying. Then you've got Pine Fresh Flash, which is Pine Fresh, apparently. They mention it 8 million times in the advert. Yeah. It definitely doesn't smell of pine, though, does it? It smells of chemicals.
Never. I've never smelled a tree that smelled like bleach.
Yeah, exactly. We've got the Christmas tree again, lads. Oh, great. Is it a real one? Yeah, it stinks of fucking chlorine. Oh, yeah, great. No. So that's a load of bollocks. Then you've got Saab by Aviators. They always had this thing with Saab where they said, oh yeah, it's made by the same people who make planes. And it isn't, because making a plane and making a car are two very, very different, distinct things.
Yeah.
But I did notice the voice, I think it's of Graham Roberts, who used to be an announcer on YTV, Yorkshire Television, which we would know, being from Yorkshire.
True.
If it wasn't him, it was Paul Lally. If it wasn't Paul Lally, it was Redvers Kyle, who had the best voice.
There's a name I've not heard in a while, yeah.
He had the best voice in the universe. There's only one man in the universe who has a better voice than Redvers Kyle, and that's Patrick Allen. I suppose Peter Dixon now would be the nearest thing we've got. The X Factor!
I still cannot say the name Ollie Burrs without saying it like that.
Alexandra Burke!
It's time to taste the muesli.
Exactly. If they can bother to do a series like sort of they used to again, they're going to have to, because they used to have Patrick Allen doing it, obviously.
Yeah.
But now they'll have to get Peter Dixon to do Reeves and Mortimer. But there you go.
Great.
I would love it. Either that or get him to do Blind Date. Yes, Paul! Anyway, moving on. An advert for Ross Garden Peas next with, I think it's Paul Copley. I think it is, but I'm not entirely.
Yeah.
Sounds like Paul Copley to me. But there you go.
Sorry, voiceover wise, I don't know.
Yes.
Is that now then? I did a bit of my homework. The one with the chap walking in the background, gathering up like the thought bubbles and stuff.
That's it.
Is that him off Dinner Ladies?
Could be Duncan Preston, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was.
Poor Duncan Preston
with a bit of a bowl cut.
Poor Duncan Preston will forever be known as the guy who tried to get a girl in his car by saying, "Do you want some sweets?"
Oh dear.
He was one of the first Stranger Danger adverts.
Yes. It's not what you want to be known for, is it?
Well, I'm sure that most of the public don't know him for that. They probably do know him for Acorn Antiques, but me being me,
I was going to say, yeah, your encyclopedic memory of stuff like that.
The fact that I own at least 2 DVDs about in public information films,
Yeah.
because they're great.
I know we've said this before, but it was the Donald Pleasance one used to give me the willies.
Oh yes,
don't play in it water.
I am the spirit of dark and lonely water. It's great. There's another film that I keep meaning. I'm going to make you watch it at some point called Apaches. Did you ever see that? It's about It's called Apaches. It was made in 1977. It's about basically don't fuck about with farm machinery. It's about a bunch of kids who are playing sort of cowboys and Indians, and they all die in exceedingly horrible fashions. So like one of them drowns in slurry. One of them gets run over by a tractor. One of them has a big heavy metal gate fallen on. One drinks paraquat, basically.
Oh.
It's like, what all you see throughout the whole film is this family making like a tea, like a birthday tea sort of thing, but it turns out it's not a birthday tea, it's a wake for one of the kids, and it's like, ooh, dark.
Dark, yeah, ooh.
They made loads of them. There's one called The Finishing Line as well, about don't fuck about on train lines. So it's like this kid in class is being told don't fuck about on train lines, and he basically imagines this sort of Hunger Games style sports day where you have to run in out of train tunnels and stuff like that, and there's loads of kids dying and being run over by trains, and yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
I'll link it to them. They're both on YouTube. But yeah, totally. Next advert, obviously, is Airtor's brochure. just to change things up a bit. And then one for Scotch Bitter, Youngest Scotch Bitter. I've never had it. It looks awful, frankly.
I was going to say, no, just no.
And it's all like it's 5 blokes at the bar. Well, it's 4 blokes stood at the bar and a guy fucking about. And it's always an odd number. Do you know why it's an odd number of blokes?
Go on.
If it's an even number, you can pair them up. They might be homosexuals.
Good heavens.
Yeah. That's on the TV. That's why you had 3, in the Hofmeister adverts?
Yeah.
You had 2 blokes and the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ironically, the bear's a girl anyway. There's a lady in that suit.
And yeah, strangely enough, the bear was the only thing stopping those 2 blokes from humping each other.
You'd think the bear would get involved.
Now, there's a Hofmeister advert I never need to see.
If they ever bring a Hofmeister back, they should totally turn it on its head and have a big, hairy homosexual man dressed in leather.
For great lager, spit roast the bear.
Yeah, follow the bear. How progressive would that be? Brilliant. Then you've got an advert for a double glazing company, which apparently is number 1 in the country. I've never heard of it. It's called Astroseal. It's not Everest.
I remember Astroseal.
I don't remember Astroseal.
We may even have had windows from Astroseal at one point. Is the advert the one where it's got a little white seal?
That's it.
Thing on it. Yeah, yeah. Because we used to have a toy seal that we called Astra after the one on the advert. Sad, isn't it?
You're so lame.
It was my little sister's. It wasn't mine.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, that's it. Throw her under the bus.
Yeah, too right.
Hello, Andy's sisters, by the way, and Adam, obviously.
I had a Snoopy. I didn't need a seal.
Yeah, lame. And then you got a Channel 4 ident after that. Just obviously on the Everest thing, Ted Maltby, obviously, I remember he was the guy who did Everest.
Yes, the best Everest.
Yeah, it was around that time. He blew his own brains out, but there you go. Dark.
Well, the irony is that nobody heard it because he was in Double Glazed house.
Oh, it got dark in here.
That escalated quickly.
It did. Fucking hell. We shall leave you with those ads in that image. Enjoy the ads. We shall be back in a few minutes. Bye-bye for now.
He-Man is here. I'll be right back.
Next week, Wallace Beery is back at 1:55 in a very different guise, this time as legendary showman Phineas Taylor Barnum in The Mighty Barnum. Made in 1934, the film exploits Barnum's reputation for being one of the world's greatest showmen. Back to this afternoon, and the police find a simple solution to a case of murder. But is it right? Not to criminologist Sir Humphrey Quilp. The man-trap follows the break.
Down at Warburton's bakery, there's a hushed air of anticipation. Could the Warburton family possibly be as proud of their new Danish brown as they are of their legendary Danish white? Ah, yes. Very proud indeed. Their Danish brown loaf boasts of even more dietary fibre than 100% wholemeal. Now it has to pass the baker's test. Danish brown. Another rather special loaf from Warburton's.
Maxwell House have reached higher into the Colombian mountains to give new high blend more of the finer quality coffee beans. Maxwell House, a new high in coffee flavor.
So into the oven for a few mins, with just enough time to give your floor a taste of another favorite recipe. Take a dash of fine fresh flash to your floor and watch that dirt and grime lift off fast, giving you a lovely clean floor.
And a nice fresh smell.
Time's up.
And the dish has come up a treat.
And so's your floor. So it's Pine Fresh Flash for CFF. That's clean floors fast.
Saab, the car designed by aviators. If you don't have 7.5 million, Robert Bowett Saabs start from around 7,500. And Robert Bowett, Ossington Hampstead, Leeds.
The humble English garden pea. It's got to be sweet, young, and tender. That's what we at Ross discovered when we asked 1,000 families for their thoughts on the ideal pea. Then we passed these thoughts on to the people who pick our peas. And they certainly take them to heart. Oh, yes. With Ross, you're the boss.
If you think holidays abroad are unaffordable this year, think again. Think about flying 4,000 miles round trip to the beautiful Canary Islands sunshine, Gran Canaria, Lanzarote and Tenerife with air tours. Think about 2 weeks holiday from an incredible £189 self-catering or £239 half-board. Think air tours and call into your local Adra travel agent for your free Canaries 85 brochure or phone us now on this number. Going abroad is easier than you think with air tours.
I'd sail round world in 50 boats for taste of younger Scotch bitter on the throat. Sail round world in 50 boats for taste of younger Scotch bitter on the throat. For younger Scotch bitter and no other, I go 10 rounds with load of blubber. For younger Scotch bitter and no other, we go 10 rounds with load of blubber. I climb on trips without a rest, for sip for beer I love the hair. He climb on trips without a rest, for sip for beer he loves the heart.
Youngest Scotch bitter. What wouldn't you go through for a pint?
Have you ever had that helpless feeling? Not sure which way to turn? No one to solve your problems? Well, cheer up. Here's one company you can rely on. A company whose product is so good, they back it with a comprehensive guarantee. Whose craftsmanship and quality have been valued over the years. And whose reputation has helped them to grow to be the biggest name in PVC windows in Britain. Astroseal. Visit your nearest showroom and choose Astroseal with confidence.
This is Channel 4, now thinking caps on for what should be a simple solution to a simple crime.
Now back to He-Man and She-Ra.
And we are back. Hope you enjoyed the ads as much as we did. Andy.
Yo.
What do you wanted to talk about tonight?
Well, I was thinking, because I've not seen it for a long time, the good old, because we were talking about He-Man vehicles, weren't we, on Facebook the other day?
We were.
And I was thinking how it was a shame that, like, so little of the actual, the Masters of the Universe stuff that we knew actually made it into the Masters of the Universe movie. And that kind of got me thinking about sort of 80s movie adaptations in general and where they failed and why they failed. And because we're very lucky now to live in a world where we get actually quite faithful to the source material adaptations a fair bit of the time now. I mean, particularly with, like, the Marvel stuff is knocking out of the park. The DC stuff is very, very close to the source material. And yet, we grew up in an era when, you know, if you got a movie version of something, you just, you know, you forgot the costumes, you forgot all the, you know, most of the characters, you got rid of pretty much everything. Just, was it brightly coloured? Let's just put everybody in black leather. You know, and we actually survived that era of adaptations which just didn't give an arse about the source material. So I thought maybe a little bit of a chatteroo about that would be cool.
Well, absolutely, and we should, I suppose, start off with Masters of the Universe, because that was the main culprit at the time. We would have got very angry. Nowadays, I'm a bit more lenient with it, but
I to be honest, I'm quite laid back and fairly easily pleased. And I didn't dislike the Masters of the Universe movie, even at the time. I could see it for what it was. I still would have liked to have had one that had all the stuff from the cartoon in it, but I could see why they did what they did, and I still enjoyed it at the time.
Well, it's supposed to be, first and foremost, a tribute to Jack Kirby's Fourth World.
Yeah.
Is what it's supposed to be. And if you actually watch it knowing that, you'll think, oh, yeah, I can see that now. But yeah, that's originally what it was supposed to be, because Mattel did get involved. They didn't really want to copy the Filmation stuff that had gone on because licensing issues, and they wanted to sell more toys, and they thought they could sell more toys if they did something different. And they thought kids wouldn't get it if we just did what we did in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Which I've never understood that attitude, because it's kids who watch it, they know more about it than you do.
Exactly.
But Dolph, to be fair, Dolph Lundgren was a serviceable He-Man, considering that at that point English was definitely not his first language. We got a decent Skeletor. In fact, we got a very good Skeletor.
Yeah, Frank Langella. What a dude.
It's apparently the favourite of his films that he's done.
Oh.
He really enjoyed doing it. He did it because his son liked He-Man.
Yeah.
And he said, sure, I'll get involved. And then apparently he enjoyed it so much that there's an actual interview on YouTube with him, and he says, no, it's one of my most favourite things that I ever did. I'm really proud of what I did with that character.
Well, when you think about it, it's the same sort of thing the same sort of vibe that I get out of sort of when I get to be a Panto villain. It's you get to be that sort of like that big, unabashedly evil character, and just really
ham it up.
With it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
chew that scenery, goddammit.
You just used the two exact phrases that were buzzing around in my head right then.
Well, it's the same theory that I apply to Raul Julia as M. Bison.
Yes,
because everybody seems to hate that Street Fighter, but I love it.
The movie was terrible, but
he
great. Played it with such great aplomb. You can't not love him in that movie. He
gets two of the best lines in movie history. He gets, of course, and he gets, for you, the day that Bison rolled into your village was the most important day of your life. For me, it was Tuesday. And it's like, yes.
Isn't there also the one like lightning?
Oh, just gold, all of it, gold.
Yeah.
The rest of it can go hang as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Bison is just anything with Ming-Na Wen in it is good in that film, because she makes a really good Chun-Li, to be fair.
Yeah, she really did.
Yeah, she was ace, and the guy who plays E. Honda was pretty good as well. I forget his name. But he was really good as well. He was in shitloads. He was in Basketball. He was in Basketball. Oh. He was the big guy who they psych out. They get Screech to psych him out and say, your mother's deaf. He says, my mother's dead. I guess that's why she didn't move around a lot.
But it also had what's the hell they call the guy who played Sagat? He was in Last of the Mohicans. And
he's in everything. He was in Mystery Men as well, wasn't he?
Yes.
He's in everything, basically. I forget his name, but he's brilliant. He's really good, and he always plays... He's always good, whatever character he's playing. It's very rare he plays bad guys. It's odd to see him as a bad guy.
Yeah, he's normally a very taciturn good guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's kind of like an Obi-Wan character in most things that he's in. Certainly he's in Mystery Men, which is a great film.
It is. That, and, oh, God, what's... The other sort of not great superhero movie that it was the same sort of concept as Mystery Men that came out around about the same time. Was it called The Specials or something?
Oh, it could have been.
Yeah, that's worth a watch as well.
Also had Janine Garofalo in it before she went all odd.
Yeah, I really like Janine Garofalo in that.
I used to. And then she met James Lance and it all went a bit tits up for her, but you know. There you go. Well. That's James Lance for you. But yes, Masters of the Universe. Actually, the only things that really it sort of deviated from, because Evelyn was pretty much the same as she's supposed to be.
Yeah, Evelyn was great in that movie. Meg Foster was just stunning in that film.
She was ace.
Phenomenally sort of spooky eyes. She just really suited that character. She was really well cast.
Yeah, no, she was ace. Tina was pretty good. Scott Bakula's wife.
Yes, yeah.
Whose name I forget now. Man at Arms, he was pretty good as well.
Yes.
I don't even mind Gwildor, to be fair. Benny Barty was all right. He was, you know, when you consider, was he fucking Orko? It's like, well, because they didn't have CGI.
Yeah.
There's no way they could have made that character.
At that point, it would have wound up looking like fucking Wordy Watcher from
do you remember
schools programs.
Well, do you remember Boobo from fucking Clash of the Titans and how out of place he looked?
Yeah.
He's not R2-D2, honest.
Mechanical companion that makes bloops and whistles.
Although I did like the fact that in the modern Clash of the Titans film, they did sort of have him in it for a second and said, "What's this?" "Oh, never mind that."
Yeah, yeah, I like that nod in the new one as well. Yeah.
I quite like that film as well.
I thought it was all right. Yeah,
it's Clash of the Titans. How good do you think it's going to be? You know, it's
it did what it needed to do.
I loved the original. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
because it's got fucking loads of people I like in it, like Laurence Olivier in it.
Yeah, Burgess Meredith,
because like, come on now, anything he's in, just anything, like the Penguin or fucking Mickey, which is my personal favourite role of him. Fuck yeah, I just fucking love the way he shouts at Rocky all the time.
Hell yeah.
All the time, just all the time.
Yeah, he's got one mode, and that is shout at Rocky mode.
And he basically plays Mickey in Clash of the Titans as well. Come on, Perseus! You're gonna eat fire and shit lightning!
He was basically like the prototype for Phil in Disney's Hercules, wasn't he?
Pretty much, yeah. Another underrated film. I
love Hercules. One of my favourite Disneys.
But no, Clash of Titans was another great film that apparently gets shat on from a great height these days, and it's like, why? It does what it needs to do.
Yeah,
it's perfectly serviceable.
Because I used to love all those fantasy and sci-fi
Harryhausen.
Still do. But like Jason and the Argonauts was really weird for me when I rewatched it in recent years. I hadn't remembered that it just kind of they get the Golden Fleece and it basically just ends.
Yeah,
it's just like there's no, what did they do next kind of thing. I was like, what? That can't be an ending. What?
They should
back in 90 minutes now. Fuck off home.
They should totally do an Animal House style. What happened next? Jason, who became the head of Pi Kappa Alpha and had constant toga parties because, of course, he did. He was in ancient Greece.
He used his golden fleece to get all the hottest chicks in ancient Greece. Oh, that rhymed.
The Kraken got stoned. Oh, yeah. Come on.
But thank you very much. We'll be here all week.
Don't leave a brother hanging. Go on now. I'll be here all week.
Try the veal.
Try the shrimp. I love Clash of Titans. It was great. It was Harry Hamlin's finest moment, apart from L.A. Law.
Yeah.
But those films were great. Anything Ray Harryhausen, I remember on the 80s, they used to show them all the time in summer holidays.
Yeah.
That kind of, and the Flash Gordon type serials as well they used to show.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching a lot of the old sort of Rocket Men from the Moon.
Yeah.
And stuff.
All the old Republic serials.
Yeah.
With Buster Crab in them.
Yes. Yeah, Buster Crab.
Best thing about those were the cliffhangers, because they'd show a cliffhanger and they'd show someone's head getting chopped off, Flash Gordon's head getting chopped off.
Yeah.
And then
it would cut to like 30 seconds before, and then it doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen at all, because they filmed two endings, basically. It's like, that's awesome. It got you to watch.
Yeah.
That's how you do a cliffhanger.
And that is what Marvel Comics based most of their comic book covers on.
Oh, absolutely.
Inside this comic, you'll see the Hulk get defeated by a kitten. Doesn't actually happen.
Yeah, not in the comic book at all. They used to do it on the Superman comics as well.
Yeah.
Why is Lois Lane getting married to Bizarro? It's not going to happen in this comic.
Yeah.
There used to be a whole website, I don't think it's there anymore. There used to be a whole website called Super Dickery, and it was about Superman is just a dick. On every comic cover in the sort of bronze, Silver Age and Bronze Age, Superman is just a complete dickwad in all of them. Why is Superman punching Lois repeatedly in the face? Find out this week, but not in this comic. Oh, it's awesome. But yeah, Marvel Comics used to lie. But speaking of Flash Gordon, obviously that's another one we can sort of go.
Yeah.
That was ace.
I remember when that movie was about to hit the cinema, there was a lot of, like, it was all over, like, cereal boxes. I remember you used to get, like, stickers in the Weetabix and stuff. And I remember going to see that movie, and it was just great. I mean, obviously the soundtrack made it for me, a lot of it, because grew up with Queen. But just I mean, Brian Blessed. I think that was maybe my first real moment where I spotted Brian Blessed and thought, my God, that guy is awesome. Because he's just so much fun to watch.
He's a presence.
He definitely is. And the thing is, he's not acting either. It's just Brian Blessed in real life. You just put him in a different costume and then set him loose.
The only thing I think is a bit unfair is that everyone says he shouts all the way through the movie. He actually doesn't.
He doesn't, no.
Barely says...
Live.
Yeah.
You know.
Look what you've done, Gordon! You put them all upon us!
Blind on a rocket cycle?
Be more careful next time, you stupid old bird!
Freeze me, you bloody bastard!
That's Dalton. That's Baron.
Yeah.
That's my first exposure to Timothy Dalton, the glorious Timothy Dalton. He's fucking great. And it's a freeze, you bloody bastards.
Yes,
He's just Baron is great. And the thing is, you can totally see his point of view and everything. Because this blonde asshole comes in, Nick's your girlfriend, who's a bit of a goer anyway, let's face it. I mean, she's banging more than a door in the wind. But
privy door with the claps in town.
Oh, dear Lord, she's just everything, including Howard off every Degrees in Circles, which shocked me the first time because I only saw it again recently for years and years and years. I'm like, I know that guy. That guy administering that injection to Flash Gordon there. I know him. What's he off? Draw attached with him is, hello, Hilda. It's like, what? That's amazing. That's the best thing in
the ball worms.
Oh, come on, Ming. That's not very fair, is it, Marty? I mean, Ming. Great. Every single person in that film gets it. It's very rare to actually see a film where every single person in the cast gets it and gets what they're doing. But every single person does, from Topol, who's great. I love Topol. He's brilliant.
All the way down to Peter Duncan from Blue Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. And then all the way up to Max von Sydow. Because he's great. He's totally having the time. Talking about chewing scenery, he's having the time of his life.
Clytus, I'm bored.
Oh, he's just great. I mean, the first time you actually properly see him, and it's that whole scene with the death to Ming, and just the way he takes the sword from Prince Thud and just runs him through, basically.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent, like sort of 10, 15 years later when Alan Rickman decided to do the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah.
It's a very similar performance.
It's your classically trained sort of mostly stage actor doing just like a big hammy campy villainy role,
and enjoying it, because if you do a hammy campy villain role and you're not really enjoying it, or you don't get what they're doing, it shows up. Like a good example of this is John Travolta in Battlefield Earth.
I've never seen it.
Don't.
No.
Just don't. He doesn't get it, but argumentatively enough, Forrest Whitaker in the same film, he gets it.
Yeah.
Because he did it again in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera, chew, chew, chew. That's why I love Forrest Whitaker. That's why I can't wait to see Black Panther. Because it's like, he's totally going to chew that scenery up, isn't he?
Without giving anything away, it's great. You'll enjoy it.
Oh, I'm sure I will. Does Forrest Whitaker chew scenery?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm
scenery,
in.
Purple flowers, all that, yeah.
I'm in. I'm down with it. Because I love Forrest Whitaker. But, yes, all right, it's that Max von Sydow's having the time. It's like Peter Wangard. Again, brilliant performance. I mean, I really feel for that guy. Obviously, he died very recently, did Peter Wangard?
He did.
And I feel very sorry for him because he got caught doing stuff in a very gay way in a toilet. Something that, had it happened these days, your career is totally recoverable from. But back then in the 70s, they basically blackballed him. And they shouldn't have done, because he was a great actor.
Yeah.
He did Jason King, he did Department S and all that sort of stuff. And then, I say, that happened, and his career sort of basically got lower and lower. He did a couple of Doctor Who's, I think. Did at least one. He did Planet of Fire, and obviously Flash Gordon as well. But his career never really recovered from it, and it's a shame. I think he did 7 as well.
The thing is, I think for me, being a kid, I hadn't seen like his Jason King stuff at the time, so I always think of him as Clytus, and it's a shame to think that was kind of part of the nadir of his career, going downhill.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it went back up a bit after Clytus because obviously it's a very, very good performance. Bring her the more worms.
He's just got great delivery, and also to give a performance as memorable as that through, a pretty unexpressive gold mask.
It reminds me of Big Train. Big Train took the piss out of it. Do you remember that?
I don't know if I've seen that sketch. Aaron keeps showing me bits of Big Train. I've not seen all of it.
I think it was Simon Pegg under the mask, and it was Kevin Eldon as just sort of like a Ming type, soldier type person. Is that you shall take them to the pit of darkness? And Pegg keeps saying, "Oh yes, I will, my lord, I will." The mask, it's got the skin. It's a bit stiff, so I'll get some WD-40 on it later. But it's really catching. It's really catching there. And it's just I love that kind of stuff where it's a banality meets sort of fantastic. It's just brilliant because there's a whole thing about Mark Keeper's Ming the Merciless, basically at home bored. He's doing the hoovering, and then he's watching telly, and he's this, and now it's a whole program devoted to Christine Brinkley in a bikini, and he sort of his hand starts going to his crotch. It's like, it's like, just the banality of what these people must be like when they're at home.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But, Flash Gordon is a great film. We have covered it before, and I'm sure we'll cover it in detail again at some point. But, again, great film from the 80s. Didn't do as well as it should have done. But if we hadn't had that, we wouldn't have had June, I suppose.
That is, I don't know whether that's a blessing or a curse.
I quite like June. It's weird. Because of course it is. It's David Lynch. It's a very, very strange film.
I was just thinking about the other day, and I shall tell you for why. I remember I was looking on the I was doing something in the dispensary, and it said something that may contain peanut oil. And obviously, the name for peanut oil is Arrakis. And I thought, oh yeah.
For he who controls the spice controls the universe.
Yeah.
That is a weird ass film. That is though. That's great, and I love the fact that they because of DeLoreantises, they were desperate to basically make Star Wars.
Yeah.
So they thought, let's do Dune and market it as if it was Star Wars. Now. Ignore the film, just focus on the books. The books are not Star Wars. They're not marketable to children at all. They're not children's books.
It's all it's all socio-political stuff.
Yeah,
which is where the Star Wars prequels got it so wrong.
Well, I mean, it's really the Dune books. Pardon the pun. They're quite dry.
Yes,
they're not sci-fi battles. They ain't Star Trek, basically, because obviously. They tried marketing Star Trek as Star Wars a couple of years before, and we'll go into that in a second. But yeah, they brought out Dune book to tape, like Rainbow, those type of things.
Yeah.
Turn the page when you hear the sound of Baron Harkonnen pulling somebody's heart plug out. With all the homoerotic subtext that brings.
Yep. God, it is such a weird movie.
That particular scene is completely homoerotic as well. It's like, it's so weird. And not in the books. Apparently Frank Herbert's family were not happy that Lynch put that in.
Yeah.
Because his latent homosexuality of Kenneth, whatever his face was, I can't remember his name now, Kenneth something. But, that wasn't in the book at all. That was just Lynch thinking, that'd be a great idea, wouldn't it? It's like, no.
You've got to wonder sometimes whether, like, the people who make these things had ever actually seen or read the source material at all.
You see, I'll stick up for David Lynch on that. You employ David Lynch, you're going to get a David Lynch film.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he does do what he says on the tin.
Yeah, it's like when they said to Ang Lee, make a Hulk film. And they said, well, this isn't much like Hulk. No, because you employed fucking Ang Lee.
Yeah, you get Ang Lee to make a movie. You're going to get an Ang Lee movie. You know, Ang Lee is not going to make like a Kevin Feige movie.
No, he's going to make a serious psychodrama about somebody getting angry a lot.
Yeah. To his credit, though, in terms of like the visualizing of it, he tried to visualize it like a comic book. There's lots of like those split screen stuff before it was cool in 24 and things like that.
Oh no, look, I do not like that film. I think it is a very silly film. It's deeply, deeply flawed.
Yes.
But that's not Ang Lee's fault.
No.
Ang Lee made an Ang Lee film.
Yeah,
I don't particularly like Ang Lee films. But they, I think they were thinking more Crouching Tiger than fucking Ice Storm, but they got Ice Storm, is what they got. But there you go. That's. Did he do Brokeback Mountain? Was that Ang Lee?
Do you know, I'm not sure, because I have not seen the gay cowboy film.
I haven't either, because it's boring, but, you know, nothing against gay cowboys, it's just not my kind of thing, but, because it's dull, frankly. But there you go. But I'm sure that's Ang Lee. But that's the sort of film that he would make anyway.
Yeah.
And that's what they got. And it's the same with David Lynch. You can't say to David Lynch, make something palatable and easy to digest, because that ain't... You've seen Eraserhead, right?
No, you need to let him loose and be David Lynch.
Well, yeah, because he's
all the weirdness that entails.
He's, you know, this is the guy who made The Elephant Man.
Why else did you hire him?
Exactly. And, you know, this is the guy who made one of my favourite films, The Elephant Man.
Great film. I remember seeing that. I was very little when I saw The Elephant Man.
Me too. It still makes me cry.
Yeah.
It's really sad at the end.
It is. It's incredibly moving.
John Hurt did a brilliant job. Everybody involved, again, everybody in that film did a brilliant, brilliant job, including Hannah Gordon, who you don't see much these days.
The weird thing was, I was quite young when I saw it, I didn't appreciate the fact that it was a modern movie. I thought it was a black and white movie from like 1930s. Black and white movie times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched it as such, and I think that had even more of an impact on me.
Do you know who produced it?
Go on.
Mel Brooks.
Oh.
That's why Anne Bancroft is in it. Well, no, that is by design, because Mel Brooks, he saw Eraserhead, and Mel Brooks has been wanting to make The Elephant Man into a movie for years, apparently. Obviously, it's a very successful play. And he, like I say, he wanted to make it into a film, so he wanted to finance it and said to David Lynch, he said, I want you to make this film. He said, okay. He said, I've only got one stipulation, one thing I'll ask you. And he said, what's that? He said, keep my name out of it, because if my name's in it, they'll think it's a comedy.
Yeah.
And obviously it is about as far away from comedy as you can get. But yeah, Lynch did a very, very good job. I think that's where he first worked with Freddie Jones.
Yeah.
It's why Freddie Jones is in Dune. Because the good thing about Dune, it's got loads of people who are really good in it, like Carl McLachlan.
Yes.
And obviously Jean-Luc Picard himself, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
And obviously it's got Al as well, Al Calavici, Dean Stockwell. Freddie Jones is in it. Jürgen Prochnow is in it. Who else? Like fucking everybody is in this film.
It was like a who's who of who was anybody at the time. Absolutely.
And it's got Miguel Ferrer Sr. is in it. He's the Emperor.
Yeah.
He's a shit as well. He's a dick. He's a complete dick in that film. Kenneth Anderson, I think. Yeah, that's what I want to say. But Sting. Although I won't hold that against him because he was shit. Sting's not an actor, but
he was. Yeah, he had a certain draw for like people to go and see it though. So
I feel they wanted Bowie.
Yes,
I feel that's who it should have been.
Yeah, it would have made that a very different film if it had been Bowie.
Hey, Paul Atreides, I'm gonna kill you. But little fat man.
I'm afraid your shield will only slow the bullet down. You're still going to die.
Hey, Paul Atreides, let's dance. The only thing that ruins it for me is Sean Young, but she ruins most things for me, to be fair. I'm not a fan. Bill Murray disliked her so much when he played her opposite her in Stripes that he's got a stipulation that he never plays it opposite her again.
Wow.
Yeah. He says it's Sean Young in it, and say, yeah, well, I'm not in it then, because she's a bitch. But no,
whenever I hear Sean Young, I always think of the whole she wanted to be Catwoman so much she turned up in costume to the studios and wouldn't go home.
That's not mental at all, is it?
Not at all, no.
I think we got the best one.
Yeah,
still the best.
Yeah.
Even Anne Hathaway couldn't be as good as Michelle Pfeiffer.
I think Anne Hathaway was good though. She didn't get to be Catwoman as such. She got to be a sort of like a pseudo, not quite Catwoman who might wind up being Catwoman if we'd have gone a bit further with that continuity.
Well, and let's face it, everyone's upstaged by Tom Hardy in that film.
Yeah, or Marvin the Martian, as I like to think of him.
Oh, don't be cruel. I really like it. Cause
it's that kind of whole mad scientisty voice that you based Bane on.
It's based on a real person.
Yeah.
It's based on a Romany bare-knuckle fighter. I can't remember for the life of me. I can't remember his name, but I've heard him speak. He's no longer with us, sadly. But he spoke in that sort of weird voice. I will fuck you up. It's that bit where he lays his hands on fucking Mendo's shoulder and says, "Do you feel in control?" I didn't realise the first time I saw it, because obviously I'd not seen him before, but Ben Mendelsohn, I didn't realise he played the guy who got fucking horribly murdered in some fashion in that bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you just keep getting murdered in every film that you're in. But it's just that bit where he says, I'm supposed to be in control. All he does is lightly lay his hand on his shoulder and says, "Do you feel in control?" And it's like, that is the most threatening thing he could have done at that point.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how good an actor Tom Hardy is. He's just so threatening. I also didn't realise it was Bern Gorman who was his little assistant there as well, out Torchwood. But
I need to watch that movie again.
It's ace. It's ace. I love The Dark Knight Return, or whatever it's called.
Rises?
Rises, that's what I always forget. I get mixed up between that and The Dark Knight. Now, The Dark Knight's the one with Heath Ledger in it.
Yeah.
Sorry, just smacking my lips because I have to at that point.
Yeah. Want to know how I got these scars?
Those,
of course, were my opening words to the woman I would go on to marry. I think I probably said that before, but
says a lot about Amy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was full on dressed up as the Joker, opened with that, and she still married me.
So that's either very forgiving or she got a problem.
She must have a problem. She asked me to marry her, so.
Well, there you go. You're definitely a problem. But love you. But yeah, what were we on about? I cannot remember. Dune. There we go. So
Dune.
I do like Dune. It's not Dune. It's David Lynch's Dune.
Yes,
but
it's a different animal to the books.
I still kind of dig it for some reason. I don't know why. I
think because it's a piece of art, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so strange. Max von Sydow's in that as well.
Yes.
Because I think
he's great. Do you know, it was ages before I realised that it was he who was the voice of Vigo the Carpathian in Ghostbusters. I don't know how I didn't bloody clock that at the time.
I think I knew that at the time, because the guy who played Vigo, he was weird.
He was. I've read stuff about him, and I think I watched like a little mini documentary about him essentially, and yeah, he had a lot of stuff going on, because he was in Die Hard, wasn't he? He was also in. Was he? What else was he in? Because one of the terrorists out of Die Hard was also in the Money Pit.
Yeah, and Al Leong was in there as well.
Yeah,
he was one of them.
But yeah, he really wanted to kind of to come and make it big, but there was stuff going on with him. He was,
he was far right. He was a bit of a racialist.
Yeah,
he was anti pretty much everything.
Yeah,
bare knuckle boxer, fighter, wrestler.
Yeah,
rapist. I think as well. He was done for rape.
Yeah,
he had a lot of. Yeah, he was a bit weird.
And funnily enough, never made it in LA.
You'd think so. You'd think so, wouldn't you?
He clearly just fell in with the wrong crowd.
Exactly. Yeah, he kept away from that Weinstein guy.
Oh man, fuck that guy.
Fuck all of them. This is assholes, a lot of them. But yeah, like you say, Max von Sydow's voice. I love that film though. I remember that. That's the first film I ever went to the cinema on my own. I say on my own, with you to see, actually. Me, you, and a group of fifth years, and me, a lowly first year.
Yeah. It was a cold December night, but I proudly wore my Ghostbusters t-shirt all the way home.
With the identical twins that weren't identical.
Yes. Matthew and Paul.
That's it.
Yeah.
They weren't identical, but they were.
No, they weren't. Yeah, it was very, very strange.
Because they looked literally nothing alike.
No, and although I haven't seen Matthew for ages, I still talk to Paul on Facebook, actually. He lives in the States now with his missus. But I can kind of see where the similarities were, but they were on the surface of it, they look totally different. Like one of them was like really dark hair, the other one was sort of like lighter brown hair and stuff. Their coloration was like really different.
Yeah,
they couldn't have been more different personality-wise as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, enough about people who listen to this podcast don't know. Who are they all about? Who knows? What other films can we talk about then? What other films were
well,
there?
in terms of stuff adaptation-wise, there were obviously. I mean, did it come out in the 80s or was it 90s? Like Mortal Kombat, the first Mortal Kombat.
90s, definitely 90s. That's fine.
Shucks.
Early part of the 90s. We can talk about it.
That's one of the only ones really that kind of, because the second one just shat its pants, but the first one was so kind of like it worked. It was just nicely that sweet spot between being a watchable movie and being sort of close to the game that it was based on, and being what otherwise should have been absolute utter crap, that it just worked.
I see you're on the ship now.
Your sideshow freaks attacked my fighters, which is expressly forbidden under the rules of the tournament.
I mean, it's basically Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
They were quite clever with that, because they just said, let's set it on an island. Let's just have these people come into tournament fight. And that is basically the setup for Enter the Dragon.
Exactly, yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the thing is, like, the whole video game was, well, it's a tournament and people get put into it to defend the fate of the world. And that's all there is to it. There's not enough. There's so much lore and backstory and stuff that you get behind these games, but on the surface of it, that's all it is they are all Enter the Dragon. Every single one of them. Street Fighter is Enter the Dragon. Mortal Kombat is Enter the Dragon. Tekken is Enter the Dragon.
Well, Tekken even had Law.
Yes.
Who is basically just Bruce Lee.
He really is just Bruce Lee, yeah. Love it. I love a bit of Tekken. Or I used to, before I discovered the Soul Edge and Soul Calibur series, and then I kind of went more onto like weapon-based fighty games.
I must admit, I like a bit of Soul Edge. Especially the theme tune. The theme tune kicks ass.
Oh, the original one, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially on PlayStation, that was fucking awesome. But
and I had the Japanese version of it.
You did?
Meant that when Sophitia gets out of the water when Hephaestus appears to her at the beginning, she's not wearing a vest. You don't see anything because she covers herself up anyway, but she's not wearing a vest in the water because she wouldn't be when you're bathing. You don't think, I'm just going to go for a bath now, but I'll put my vest on for having a bath.
Sophitia wins. Baldo wins.
The grueling battle ended with a victory of Seung-mina.
Seung-mina was great.
She was my favourite. I love Seung-mina.
She was the Korean one with nunchucks, wasn't she? Did she have nunchucks?
No, she had the Huan Dao, the big sort of long staff. Yeah,
it was Li Long.
Li Long had the although, again, because of censorship in the UK, Li Long had 3-section staff. He did not have the nunchuck.
Yeah.
Because it was still banned at the time.
Bullshit!
I know. And that's why Enter the Dragon was like something I would never, ever buy on like VHS or DVD until they restored the scenes. The same goes for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. I wouldn't buy them until they put the nunchucker scene back in.
Yes, that is a great scene as well.
It really is. In fact, all of the stuff with Mikey using his nunchucks is quite pivotal to it, especially towards the end. Where they're actually you're not even allowed to depict rice flails hanging on a fire escape, even though it's pivotal to the ending of the movie. Oh man, that made me angry.
Even though it's much easier just to get a broom handle and pretend it's a bow staff and whack someone on the head with it.
Absolutely, kids can pretend to be Donatello. Hell, if they get into the Sharp kitchen, they can be Leonardo.
I often do pretend I'm Donatello because he's the best. Fuck you, anyone who thinks different. I include you! Ha!
Well, I think we're all allowed to have our own personal soul turtle. Donatello's clearly yours. Raphael, clearly mine.
This is true. Both voiced by the same guy.
Nobody understands cricket. You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
That is one of Phil's favourite bits of anything, because Phil, who used to present this podcast. Hey, Phil. He's a massive Raphael fan.
Yeah. He was a dude.
Unlike Duncan, who's on this show next week, he likes Leonardo because he's lame.
Well, somebody's got to like Leonardo.
Not that we do the Turtles no more.
No.
It's Raphael now, apparently.
Yeah. So, is it because they listened to Partners in Crime one too many times and realised that they got the lyrics wrong?
I really think that's what it is. I loved the outrage that people had when they showed the new Turtles and people, fucking Splinter's fat and this and that and other. I'm like, you're 35 years old.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
Not to mention, have you seen the shape of a rat?
Yeah, but more importantly, it's not for you.
Yeah.
It's for children. They're not thinking, what that fat nerd in the fucking basement of his mum's house think.
Yeah, exactly.
Loser.
Move on. It's like people whining about some of the new Transformers stuff that's more designed for kids.
All designed.
It's more designed for kids, yeah.
Not more, all.
Well, you've got to admit the masterpiece stuff obviously aimed at collectors, and to begin with, the classic stuff was aimed at a broader audience, shall we say, people who've grown up with it and a newer audience. So
it's when you see people moaning about like robots in disguise, it's like it's not for you, mate.
We enjoy it. Amy and I quite like watching a bit. I haven't got up with it.
That's incidental, though, isn't it? That's my point. Is that it's not like Star Wars Rebels, which is made for a broad audience. That's why you've got a lot of expanded universe stuff in there, because that's Disney saying, look, we haven't forgotten you, and we do sort of realise a lot of you like this stuff, so we are going to put elements of it in there.
Yeah.
But it's at the end of the day, it's for kids. Really, it's for kids. Which is cool. A lot of films in the 80s were for kids as well. Oh, there you go. How about that for a segue?
That was a good segue. I can almost feel the little electric wheels going underneath my feet.
It's one of the big failed films of the 80s, and it really shouldn't have been. And I think I can understand why, but I can't. That's The Dark Crystal.
Yeah. No, see, I hadn't realised until more recent times, being a grown-up, that it hadn't done that well. Because I remember going to the pictures to see it. I took my little sisters to see it, and I bloody loved it.
Oh, brilliant.
That and Labyrinth were just wonderful. And that it goes back to something that Aaron and I were talking about, I think, on the Smorgaspod, in terms of sort of tangible effects. You everything, all the puppets and all the backgrounds and everything, and fuck it, even the matte paintings and stuff looked real. And I love watching a fantasy movie where things look like you could, if you were there, you could walk up to them and touch them, not that you could pass your hand straight through like CG Jabba the Hutt,
I agree. And I'm not the world's biggest fan of Labyrinth. It's okay. It's fine. I have no problem with it.
I love the fact that Dr. Beverly Crusher was one of the choreographers on it.
yeah. Well, she's dancer, isn't she, Kate McFadden? That was her background.
The other choreographer, of course, was Queeg from Red Dwarf.
Yes.
Audley Harrison.
Yeah. He still works, I think, as well.
Yeah.
I know one of the voices was Denise Breyer, who you might know as basically loads of voices in Jerry Anderson stuff, but most famously Zelda.
Yes. Yeah.
And also ex-wife of Nicholas Parsons.
Wow. What a claim to fame.
Well, I think Zelda's probably higher on the list.
I think so, yeah.
She was also Mary Falconer, who was basically Mary Parkinson.
Yeah.
I was actually watching, if you've got Now TV or if you've got Sky, you may be able to get it. There is a documentary made by Network called Super Mario Nation, and it is all about from before things like Four Feather Falls.
Yeah, so like 5XL5 and all stuff like that.
And it goes straight through to the Secret Service with Stanley Unwin, Deep Joy. And it's great. It's brilliant. And it has a real big chunk on... It doesn't sort of say, Thunderbirds was brilliant, everything else was shit, like a lot of these things do, because they go quite deep as they can on all of them. And Captain Scarlet, which is my personal favourite, they do a big section on that as well. Apparently the puppeteers hated working on it because the heads were in proportion. Apparently as a puppeteer, that's really difficult to sort.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing...
I suppose when you're above something with strings, if the head is kind of bigger, it's like a perspective-y thing, isn't it? You can kind of see what you're doing with it. You've got more control over the motion of it if it's larger.
Exactly. Your movements can be bigger because they can afford to be bigger. Whereas with a smaller head, they can't be as big.
Yeah.
And they have to be really meticulous because they couldn't show the puppets walking in Captain Scarlet because they had to be sort of realistic. Where Thunderbirds
so could the happy little plop, plop, plop.
Yeah,
plop,
they can
Thunderbirds
sort of get away with that in Thunderbirds-ish, but you definitely couldn't in Captain Scarlet because it was supposed to be deadly, deadly serious.
I always really liked Stingray.
I love Stingray. I love them all, but I love Stingray. I love Captain Scarlet. Here's a good one for you. Atlanta or Marina?
Oh. Well, I'd probably say Atlanta because she's a ginge.
See, I would say Atlanta as well.
Yeah.
Never had any interest in Marina. She's a bit stupid and a bit...
Yeah.
Well, she's mute for a kick-off. That's not going to make for a fucking interesting evening, is it? But...
well, she couldn't complain if you're putting it in the wrong place or anything.
Lovely. Brilliant.
That's a very, very curtailed version of a joke that I heard once somewhere about her. My other favourite one was, and I can't remember who sang it to me first, I think it might have been my Uncle Alan, possibly, who sang, Marina... Marina, what is that strange enchanting smell of fish whenever you're near?
Lovely.
It was either my Uncle Alan or Phil Cool, I think I heard that from.
Could be Phil Cool, probably.
His Aquafibian face was legendary.
Lovely. I also like the fact that Agent X5, he was just like, they didn't mention it on the documentary, but it's obviously Peter Lorre. It's supposed to be Peter Lorre.
You despise me, don't you? It's definitely, because that's where I got that impression from as a kid.
Yeah, absolutely, same here. I know Troy Tempest his face was based on Jim Garner.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stingray was awesome. I love Stingray.
I remember watching an episode of Stingray, and it was like the first time I'd seen it as an adult. And there was this one where there's these two aliens, and one of them, I think, the two primary coloured sort of aliens under the sea. It's not the usual Aquafibian menace. It's these. One of them is like he's on a swing. He's sitting on a swing, and it's a fairly it's got like lacy trim on the swing, and he's in like a little golden dressing gown or something. And they've got like these two aliens have got like Crichton-shaped heads. They're very angular looking. One of them's blue, one of them's green, something like that. And they're just kind of there. They're not really doing anything. But Troy and Ferns discovered them, and they basically nuke them into oblivion. It's like you just obliterated the underwater gay alien population. Because why? Because they were there and they weren't human. That was the whole motivation behind it. I was like, Stingray are the bad guys. What just happened here?
They Ultra Magnus them.
They really did.
That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Okay, give me the bomb. That Firefly's awesome because of the last line. Sandstorm goes, this planet that we were on, it was the most beautiful thing ever, and Rodimus just says, whatever, our planet's better anyway.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake! Cold!
Oh man, I could never. Yeah, you find a perfect non-war-torn replica of your planet and you blow it up so the Decepticons can't have it.
It's not even that. That's pretty bad, isn't it? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Okay, give me the bomb. But it's just the fucking Sandstorm's eulogising his home planet. Yeah. And it's like, fuck you, our planet's better anyway, dick. It's like, what the fuck am I watching?
Oh, dearie me. Good times.
Galvatron, this planet's ripe for conquest. They're full of pansies. Yes, they are, as you say, pansies. Fucking Cyclonus was great in that cartoon, but that is just fucking all the time. Bloody, that was just like, blow it up, fine. We don't care, they're unique. Get rid. And it's like, Jesus, what are you doing, Stingray? But just a weird show Stingray was, and Thunderbirds is weird as well. I don't dislike Thunderbirds, but
I think as a kid you like it more for the vehicles than anything else.
Oh, absolutely you do. Of course you do. Thunderbird 2, absolutely. It's the best one.
Yeah.
That and Thunderbird 4.
Yeah. Yeah, because, they come as a matching pair. It's like Pinky in the Brain. You can't have Thunderbird 2 without Thunderbird 4.
Thunderbird 1 is shit. And does it still wind you up? Because it winds me up when they say, Thunderbird 1 was a spaceship. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Supersonic jet.
Exactly. It was shaped like a rocket because it went supersonic speeds, but it wasn't a rocket.
Nope. That was Thunderbird 3.
Yes, the red one.
Dick. Fucking prick.
But yeah, I remember when Terrorhawks first premiered on UK television, and I watched it religiously. I loved that show. It's such a good show. And it took the whole Jerry Anderson concept and brought it bang up to, what was bang up to date then. And I think Terrorhawks succeeded at what it did far more than Thunderbirds did for me.
Just a show about Lieutenant Hero.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly. Very
exactly.
racist that was.
It wasn't. I don't think it was racist. It was racially insensitive.
That's a better way of putting it.
They didn't mean harm.
No, not at all.
It
was a caricature of
a
Japanese person rather than somebody playing a Japanese person.
Exactly. I always like to sort of make that distinction because if you're being racist and you mean specific harm, you're taking the piss, blah, 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 that's racism. If you're being racially insensitive, you mean well. It's like the Kiora advert. They didn't think they were being racist when they made that.
Technically, they weren't, because it was based on like Oscar Grillo's artwork. So that was just that style, and it wasn't like having gollywog on your jelly or whatever.
They did have crows though.
yeah, they did. Yeah,
it's like the elephant fly crows in Dumbo. So I obviously it's Disney.
I've seen a dragonfly.
I've seen a housefly.
I've seen a racist caricature.
Yeah.
That's why Dumbo doesn't get shown on telly much. Oh, okay, right, okay.
And they cut all the racially insensitive, shall we say, elements out of Fantasia as well, didn't they?
And there were plenty of them.
There was particularly in the scene with the centaurs, like the young, beautiful princess centaur. She was having her hair done or being like all beautified by a little black centaur girl who's just like My Little Black Centaur Pony, with very rosy cheeks, very very sort of pouty lips, and very very black,
very Song of the South.
Yes, yeah. And they don't show that anymore either.
No, they don't.
Uncle Remus, poor old Uncle Remus. You'll never hear Mr. Bluebird on his shoulder on television anymore.
Brer Rabbit and all that. I am actually quite curious to see it. I would like to see it.
I remember seeing it at the time, and I didn't see it. It wasn't bad. It was, the thing is, it was that whole the stories that sort of black people in the South would tell. It was their sort of oral history, but given the Disney cartoon treatment. So it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe I'd think about it differently if I saw it today.
That's the thing. When you're a kid,
you can't see it today because you can't get to it.
When you're a kid, it's different because. Yeah. To be fair, I still have the same opinion on this one, but Thomas's owner. Thomas? I don't for a second think, I don't think that's terribly racist. I'm more concerned that she keeps battering the cat.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm more concerned with the fact that because Thomas doesn't catch Jerry, she sees fit to smack him on the head with a broom.
Yeah.
A lot. She's a bad cat owner rather than a racist caricature. I'm sure, look, I'm a white guy, so I've probably got a different perspective than a lot of people, but I don't see it as much of a problem as some things that you have seen that have been on telly, especially in the 80s. Because in the early 80s, they still had the fucking black and white minstrel show on telly.
Yeah.
Until about 82. 82! Because I was looking at some continuity from like 1981, and it was Christmas 1981, I think. And they appeared on fucking Are You Being Served? Did the black and white minstrels? Like, what the fucking fuck?
In the 80s, my God.
You wouldn't think, even in the dirty 80s, which is, sort of 81 to 84.
Yeah.
You got the dirty 80s, basically. There's like sort of riots all the fucking time and minor strikes and shit like that going on. But even then, you would think they'd be a bit more enlightened.
But no.
No, because there were still gollywogs around. And even though gollywogs in and of themselves aren't racist people use them as a... why don't we see that on Jammin' anymore?
Yeah.
Yes, because it's offensive to people. That's why. I mean, actually offensive, not offensive as in fucking Twitter offensive.
Yeah.
Like some girl out of Little Mix who's
that
got...
offends me. Well, scroll on then. You know.
Well, so like the latest one, which is some girl out of Little Mix. I don't know much about Little Mix, but she's got hair in braids, and apparently that's cultural appropriation.
Oh no, it's not.
Is it though?
It's not. It's
a hairdo.
Hair.
It's a hairdo.
I don't have any hair to plait, so I can't be culturally appropriative.
Well, the other thing was that they said, "Oh, you've got dreadlocks and you're white. It's cultural appropriation." It's like, well, I'm pretty sure Celts had dreadlocks.
Yeah.
So dreadlocks isn't specifically. It doesn't belong to any one race. It just, if you let your hair not wash long enough, then your head would eventually turn into dreads.
Yeah.
Especially if you tease them a certain way, and that's sort of been a lot of cultures have had that. So it's like, and besides which, it's a hairdo. we got bigger shit to deal with in the world right now than hairdos.
Really do. On the subject of kind of things that are racially insensitive and stuff, though, it's like, as a person who enjoys sort of, you know what I'm like, I love voices and I love impressions and things. And I think, you know, obviously I do sort of cartoon characters and stuff. I do like Shrek and Donkey. Am I being racist when I do Donkey? Because he's a donkey. He sounds like Eddie Murphy, but he's a donkey. But that's not me trying to... I don't know. It's like Shrek and Donkey on another whirlwind adventure. That's not me being racist. That's me.
Well, no, because you're not doing a voice of you're not doing a black voice. You're doing Eddie Murphy's voice.
Exactly. And here's my next thing. Is like, having seen Black Panther, I bloody loved it, and Chadwick Boseman affects such a beautiful African accent.
He's got a great voice.
He's got a great voice, and he's kind of goes full on young Nelson Mandela in terms of his intonation and stuff. And I'm kind of itching to kind of to do an impression of his voice as Black Panther, but I can't bring myself to do it because as a grown man in this day and age, I feel like it would be insensitive, and it kind of, it makes me a bit sad inside that I can't do that. I feel like I shouldn't allow myself to do that because people might take it the wrong way, and it's such a shame because it's, when I do accents, it's because I love the sound of an accent.
Yeah, but you do Darth Vader's voice, and Darth Vader's a black guy.
Exactly, yeah.
Or you do Mufasa because it's James Earl Jones's voice. The guy's got, it's like Chadwick Boseman is basically this generation's James Earl Jones in terms of voice. You know, that kind of deep black voice that you've got, because obviously you had James Earl Jones, then Morgan Freeman's got a very distinctive voice. And, you know, when somebody does a Morgan Freeman voice, that ain't racist, because
that's true, yeah, because
he's got such a distinctive voice.
Yeah.
No one does that voice. I'd like it if you just shut up a minute. I'm talking to you. And he's got a great voice as Morgan Freeman.
Smite me, almighty smiter. That's one of my favourites.
Yeah. I mean, it's that deep, rich timbre of the voice that you have. It's totally, I wouldn't say it was racist. Because you've got voice actors like Phil Lamar, who's black, he's a black guy, but he regularly does white characters.
Yeah, I mean, he was famously Samurai Jack.
He does everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously, he did Marv in Pulp Fiction, who got shot in the face. But he does all kinds of voices. I'm pretty sure Phil Lamar does Mojo Jojo as well.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's Phil Lamar who does Mojo Jojo. I mean, he is sort of like up there with Frank Welker, as far as I'm concerned.
There are some really prolific and really fab voice actors out there, aren't there?
And you can hear them all on Rob Paulson's Talking Tunes podcast. Which is, especially people like Maurice LaMarche. Brilliant.
He will always be Egon to me. What a dude.
Did you see they're bringing out real Ghostbusters figures?
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
They look very good.
They're very, very good.
I might have to get me, I might at least have to get me a Venkman, but I'm going to get all of them.
Yeah, I'd quite like to have all the 4 main Busters.
Which is funny, because I didn't at all want the movie ones, but the cartoon ones, I want the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah, hell yes.
because they were awesome.
I think for me, the movie ones were good, but the cartoon ones absolutely nail it.
Well, I mean, it's not even
they
that.
Look beautiful. I really hope they do a Janine. I would love a Janine.
Oh, that'd be
that
brilliant.
looked like Janine looked on the cartoon.
You know, as much as I love the films, I haven't got as much an emotional attachment to those as I do the cartoons.
Well, the thing is, I didn't get to see the first movie at the pictures to begin with.
No, I didn't know.
That was one that I had to catch on video. And yeah, the real Ghostbusters was our real Ghostbusters, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we were quite into it.
A little bit.
Just a bit. Just a touch. We used to get all the comics. That's what they need to do. Titan needs to
Didn't make a Lego PKE meter out of Technic and put some blinking lights instead of it and bring that to school. Never did that.
No, we never did that.
No, I didn't.
That would have been horrifically sad and nerdy of us.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, we totally did that.
And I don't care.
I don't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck then. I don't give a fuck now. I just don't give a fuck. Like Eminem. But there you go. Brilliant stuff. Exactly.
Hell yeah. On the subject, though, back slightly, ever so much, to things that got an adaptation from like a toy or something into a movie. Back in the day, the one that really bloody nailed it, which was an absolute surprise, which I don't know if it was straight to VHS over here, but I certainly never saw it in the pictures. We got it out of the video shop, watched it, and loved it, and still love it. Clue.
Yes.
Based on the board game from Parker Brothers.
Mr. Body.
Yes.
And the amazing Tim Curry.
Tim Curry's fantastic in that. In fact, everybody is good in that.
Yeah, because Martin Mull's in it as well, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
He was very, very good. They need to reboot that fucking thing. They've rebooted everything, but they need to do a new version of Clue.
It would be really nice to see that, and I would like to think that they would do what they did in American theatres, and not know which ending you're going to get, because obviously seeing it on VHS, we got to see the here's what could have happened, here's what could have happened, here's what really happened, like you get. But in the American cinematic release of that, you didn't know how it was going to end. They showed a different ending depending on what cinema you were in or what cut of the reel that they got. It was a surprise, which is just fantastic.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I used to get that Michael McKean's in it as well.
Yes. Yeah, and Mr. Christopher Lloyd.
Well, he was in everything in the 80s.
Well, that's right, that's true. But so I always think of the Madeline Kahn scene where she the flames on the side of my face. She's just so angry and apoplectic she can't describe how angry she is. I love it.
Oh yeah. The weird thing about it, Tim Curry wasn't the first choice for Wadsworth.
Really?
No, that Jonathan Lynn, who directed it, obviously he did Yes Prime Minister and Yes Minister and all that.
Yeah.
The first choice was Leonard Rossiter.
Oh my God! Yeah,
but he died before filming commenced. Dr. Buddy, you're looking for.
A very different feeling film. I think a different energy to it because Tim Curry is so enthusiastic. He's like
manic,
he's electric. He is absolutely.
Again, like I say, he was the third choice was Tim Curry. The second choice was Rowan Atkinson, but they said he wasn't well enough known at the time. So that could have been very different because that would have been a much more sardonic Wadsworth.
I tell you what, though, if they reboot the damn thing and they don't get Rowan Atkinson in it,
that would be awesome.
There's something wrong with the world because he would be great.
He's great and everything. But yeah, no, it's a great film. It's close. They should, like I say, they should totally do it again.
Yeah.
Totally do that with modern people. Like you could have Chris Pine in it. He'd be very good in something.
In
like
fact,
that.
you know what they should do?
Hemsworth.
Instead of doing just a one-shot 90-minute movie, I think they should do like a 6-part, 6 lots of 45 minutes Netflix series.
Well, they did a series of that in the 70s as a whodunit, and then they did it TV Cluedo or wherever it was with Richard Madeley presenting it of all people.
Oh God!
But in the in the 70s when they did, I think it was called Cluedo as well. They did that like sort of Tom Baker appeared as Professor Plum. Which is always yes, I did it. I killed him.
Would you like a jelly baby?
you heard mine and Lee's theory that Tom Baker sounded like that from the womb? Hello, mother. Hello, father. I'm the doctor. Would you like a jelly baby?
I like that idea. I can't imagine him with any other voice. I think you're probably right.
Well, he's a Scouser, which is, at some point he must have sounded old Brogue and Paul McGannish. But no, he's hello, mother.
I suppose maybe Tom Baker is to Scouse what I am to Yorkshire. Although to be fair, I do tend to go more Yorkshire when I'm talking to the likes of you and Aaron.
Well, that's the same with the Welsh.
I'm surrounded by my peoples.
That's the same with the Welsh as well.
Yeah.
If you ever watch the One Show with Alex Jones is on it, and somebody Welsh is on, like Michael Sheen or Tom Jones,
she certainly becomes incomprehensible, doesn't she? To like a non-Welsh audience.
Apparently, that's a Welsh thing. Whenever they get together, it doesn't matter how long they've been out of Wales, they sound Welsher.
It's a Welsh thing as well, because I always more Yorkshire when I get around my family. You can tell when I've been talking to my mother on phone.
Well, your mother's aggressively northern, so she's like Christopher Eccleston.
Gonna be northern at you through my eyebrows.
Hey, northern! You heard his latest thing. I don't get Shakespeare roles because I'm northern. It's like, yeah, it really stopped Patrick Stewart, didn't it?
What can I compare thee to a summer's day?
Summer's day? No, it's nothing to do with that, Chris. It's just that you're not a very good actor. He's not a very good actor. He plays Christopher Eccleston in everything he's in.
Well, that's it in the same way as, say, Sean Connery plays Sean Connery in everything. And you kind of... I always think there's two sides to that, because like there's people who can play the feeling of a thing, and people who are more chameleonic, and he falls firmly into the former category.
Mate, it's Michael Caine, isn't it? Michael Caine's Michael Caine in everything he's in, but that's who I'm paying to see.
Yeah. If you come to see a Michael Caine film, and you do not expect to see Michael Caine, you're doing it wrong.
My name is Michael Caine. No, Michael Payne, and I am a nosy neighbour. It's like Sean Connery. You don't go to a Sean Connery film to see someone acting well. You know, it's like The Rock. It wouldn't have sounded the same if he tried acting it, but when he goes, "You're best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen."
What's the matter? Can't talk with a gun in your mouth.
Exactly. You got that sort of line between actor and movie star. Like Tom Cruise is not an actor; he is a movie star.
Yeah,
he's probably the last movie star.
Yeah.
You go see a Tom Cruise film, you got to see Tom Cruise. You got to see Arnie. You got to see Arnie. You don't got to see Arnie trying to be like in Last Action Hero when they take the piss and say Hamlet.
Yeah.
To be or not to be. Not to be. I go to an Arnie movie to be aggressively amused by his antics. Lots of pithy catchphrases when he kills a guy. He got the point. Come on, do it!
Do it now!
Do it now! There's that band, isn't there? I can't think of what they're called now. Austrian Death Machine. Is that what they're called? You ever heard of Austrian Death Machine?
No, this is my first.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'll just see if they are called Austrian Death Machine. But they do death metal versions of Arnie films.
Awesome.
Austrian Death Machine. There you go. Austrian Death Machine, they are called. They're American thrash metal, and it's the vocalist from As I Lay Dying, and it pays tribute to Arnold Schwarzenegger films. So basically, every song they do is based on an Arnie film. So one of them's called "Get to the Chopper."
Nice.
Get to the chopper. But yeah, they're great. They're just a fun little side project that these metalheads decided to do. But again, a lot of these 80s films, they say, "Oh, well, they're just vehicles for Arnold Schwarzenegger." Well, yes,
yeah,
that's the point.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is an action figure. He needs to have a vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. Same as Jean-Claude Van Damme and fucking Chuck Norris and Sylvester Stallone. Even
I never got the whole Chuck Norris thing.
He got his ass kicked in Way of the Dragon.
Yeah.
That's what I mainly remember Chuck Norris from. I've not seen many of his films, but I have seen Way of the Dragon, where Bruce Lee completely fucking destroys him. But then that's just Bruce Lee's film every Bruce Lee film is the same. I can't fight. I'm not allowed to fight. I promised I wouldn't fight. These assholes are trying to make me fight. That's it. Something happened. I don't think it's Way of the Dragon. It's the big boss. The big boss. Yeah. The last thing we'll talk about is the big boss. And he's got this pendant that he promised his mother, I think, that he would go away and he wouldn't fight. He wouldn't get into trouble. And halfway through the film, he's not fought, and he's been slapped around and people taking the piss. And then somebody grabs the pendant and it comes off. And Bruce is like, oh, my promise has been broken. I might as well just fucking kill you all now. And he just lays waste to everybody. It's a great film, is it? To be fair, it's a Bruce Lee film. Of course it's a great film.
Yeah.
That dude, imagine how massive he would have been had he lived.
Yeah, it's such a loss to the world in general, but particularly sort of his legions of fans. He was something else. He will often be imitated, but there will never be another Bruce Lee.
Well, no, because it's like you could have all the moves in the world, but it's like Jackie Chan. It's something about it's charisma.
Yeah,
Bruce Lee had a
bit of charisma.
You know, you can go on YouTube and you can look at any Bruce Lee interview and you think, this is a cool guy.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's very, very cool and he's very confident and he knows his own mind and he's very charismatic. And it's the same with Jackie Chan. If you watch him being interviewed and stuff, you think, yeah, I really like this guy. Because there's loads of martial artists out there. You've got people like Jet Li, who he's a very good martial artist, don't get me wrong.
But he's not that fun to watch.
He's not. His film's that great to watch, I don't think, because he's not got charisma. He's not got something about him that makes me want to watch. Whereas someone like
cold fish, isn't he?
You know, and that's fine. But people like his moves, and that's great too. But I like Sammo Hung. I think Sammo Hung's great because he's this big guy who's really good at martial arts.
I really enjoyed Martial Law.
Martial Law was great.
Yeah.
Martial Law was right up there with my Doctor Who substitutes in the 90s and early 2000s. It's right up there with Crime Traveller.
Not to mention the fact that Martial Law had Kelly Hu.
It did. Lady Deathstrike, if I remember correctly. But yeah, like I say, right up there with Crime Traveller, starring that guy who played David Wicks in EastEnders, Michael. I fucking love Crime Traveller. One day I'm going to do it on this podcast, and it was so shit. And it's like, yes, Chloe Annette, that's where you belong. Get off Red Dwarf. Get off Red Dwarf now. You can't act. Be on Crime Traveller. You belong on Crime Traveller. I'm happy to see you on Crime Traveller. You're right up there with Jessie Birdsall.
Having rewatched the Red Dwarfs recently, I think she took a lot of flack for the series kind of not being what it used to be.
Oh, yeah, she did, but she wasn't great. Nobody can objectively say she was a good substitute for Claire Grogan because she wasn't.
The thing is, you can never replace Claire Grogan because Claire Grogan was one of my formative crushes growing up. So
yes, I remember. Along with Danny Minogue.
Yeah, I stand by that. Danny Minogue, all day. Sorry, I'm just remembering back to was it from TV Hits or something? I had like a life-size 5'2" Danny Minogue poster.
I remember.
Good.
Got me yellow towards the end.
Shut up.
How was that hole you put in it for some reason? I just don't understand.
Never did. I would never have sullied her image.
That hole in the table to put the watermelon in. I just don't.
Sacrilege.
That's why you bought two. One for looking, one for laminating.
Oh dear.
I've embarrassed you enough. Get off. Andy.
Yes.
Is there anything you would like to promote or sort of say where you want to be on the internet and all that kind of thing?
Well, regular listeners will probably remember that I belong normally on the weekly podcast, the Smorgaspod, where I and Mr. Aaron Dennis chew the nerdy fat on a weekly basis. The Smorgaspod has